Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing some more historic Best of 1 with kind of a continuation on the Prison series, I guess. So last time we were playing historic Best of 1, it was with a blue-white memey prison deck with Gideons and Helm of the Host and things like that. And I did say I wanted to visit it a little bit more because I had a couple of ideas on how I would actually improve upon it, I guess. And I'm on the next iteration now. I've been playing this one for a couple of days, and it's almost where I want it to be. I'm really not sure what could really take this one over the edge, because similar to the blue-white one, we've got the Solemnity 9 lives combo. For those who don't know what this does, essentially 9 lives is a 3-mana enchantment with hexproof, so your opponent can't directly target it. And if a source would deal damage to you, you prevent that damage and put a counter on 9 lives. And when you've got 9 counters on it, you lose the game. So essentially, any damage up to 9 different sources, that's all you can take with 9 lives. It's another way of surviving a little bit longer. However, if you combo that with Solemnity, Solemnity being a 3-mana enchantment, says players can't get counters, and counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So, if counters can't be put on enchantments, when 9 lives prevents the damage of a source and tries to put a counter on it, it cannot. Which basically means that these two are an infinite-ish, I guess an infinite combo. They're a combo that says we can't take any sort of damage. That does not mean, and this is where the weak spot of this deck comes in, that I can't quite tweak the list to properly be. It does not mean that we can't lose to life loss effects, things like Blood Artist and Priest of the Forgotten Gods and Croxers. Now, you might notice that I've named 3 cards in a very popular deck right now. That's because it's the one that keeps screwing me. So, you know, that one's kind of an annoyance. It does not mean it's unbeatable, though, and a certain fair bit of the deck has been tweaked in order to beat it. So, you know, Solemnity 9 lives against that deck does do a fair bit, but life loss effects like Blood Artist can definitely hamper us a little bit. So we have a little bit of a sub-life gain package just to really survive a little bit later down the line. So we've got things like Gift of Paradise to give us 3 life when they enter the battlefield. We've got Ashes of the Abhorrent as well, a 2-mana enchantment. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries, so Croxers can't be cast and Uros. And whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life, so Blood Artist effects, or at least the first one, is countered. Now, we're not doing Rest in Peace, because I really want that life gain trigger that's on Ashes. And, you know, we don't really care about our opponent's graveyard so much, because we can work towards making things not matter. And that's where Gideon's Intervention comes in as well. Similar to the Prison piece, this is another carry-on over card that I really want to make work. You might be able to tell how many copies we've got. You'd be very good. And you've probably already zoomed into your screen right now. It's an X4 of this one. I don't know. I think it has to be kind of 4 copies, though, to beat certain decks. This is the card that essentially gives you game against most decks in the format. So for 4 mana for an enchantment, as it enters the battlefield, you choose a card name, and your opponent can't cast spells with the chosen card name, and it also prevents damage that would be dealt to you by permanents of the chosen name. And we've got Wolfwillow Haven and Mindstone on turn 2, so that means we get that guaranteed turn 3 intervention. There's a lot of cards you can name with Gideon's Intervention that can kind of lock your opponent out very early on. We go up against Boggles quite a lot as well, so naming things like Core Spirit Dancer with Gideon's Intervention is a great way of really shutting down that deck, and you just keep playing these until you've named all their threats. Things like that. But we can name Blood Artist in that bad matchup we mentioned. It doesn't stop the life loss if one's already in play, but it does stop them from casting it, which can be relevant. You can also name things like Mox Amber in the Breach decks as well, because they're very reliant on using Kethis combo to play their Mox Ambers to and from the graveyard. So if you stop them from being able to cast it, you stop their mana engine, which is a way if we can win the game as well, or delay the game at least until we drop down another intervention and name Jace or Thassa's Oracle. That one's also a bit of a difficult matchup because they tend to just weirdly flip between Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, I think it is, the 4-mana Jace, and Thassa's Oracle as their win con for milling out. They could also mill you out as well, which, you know, again, makes it a little bit difficult. But yeah, Other than that, we got Faith's Fetters, again, life gain, but also shuts down Planeswalkers and pretty much any permanents in the world. We've got a mix between Banishing Light and Cast Out. I'm still not decided on which one I prefer most. I think I almost like Banishing Light more because, you know, in a world where we don't get a Wolf Willowhaven and our Mind Stones, playing this on 3 can be pretty good. But Cast Out does have that cycling white, which I do very much appreciate, but, you know, having it as a 4-drop is kind of less than ideal, so I've gone for a split. We'll see what we want to do. But yes, other than the Prison Shell, we're in an Enchantress shell, so we've got a couple of cards that are going to chain through our deck. The one being Enchantress's Presence, the main card here. 3-mana enchantment. Whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card. That's going to be pretty good because, you know, we want to be able to find our 9 lives in Solemnity combo, maybe find our intervention if we need to name something in a pinch. Every single Wolf Willowhaven effectively ends up being free because it generates its own mana and things like that. The reason why we're running Mind Stones over Gift of Paradise is for the turn 4, because I find that to be particularly important. That's why we're using Mind Stones over something like Gift of Paradise, by the way. But yeah, you tend to find yourself only really needed one Enchantress's Presence. After that, you get into I might deck myself territory, which has never happened to me, but it's got pretty close. Since our main win con is basically 2 cards in our deck, if it's not just our opponent scooping because they realize they can't win with Solemnity 9 lives, then, you know, we've got to close out the game, and Sigil of the Empty Throne is going to be the way we want to go. I did consider Approach of the Second Sun, but I have no wildcards. So we're going with Sigil of the Empty Throne on that Enchantress style deck, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you put a 4/4 Angel with flying onto the battlefield. We also have Calyx Destiny's Hand to go dig for all the pieces we need. The -3 is like a Banishing Light, putting a creature or enchantment underneath one of our enchantments. We can put it under our 9 lives because it's got hexproof, and if it would be removed, we'd lose anyway. So, you know, stick it under there. But yeah, we're going to be trying to name things that could beat us. Ugin the Spirit Dragons and things like that are a great way of our opponent killing our Solemnity 9 lives combo. So we want to be naming those kind of things. This deck's not very easy to pilot, I've got to admit. I've been playing it for days, and I feel like every loss that I've had has been my own fault by naming the wrong card at the wrong time. Things like that. There are, of course, a few situations when you go up against Muxus, which I think is a bad matchup in general, where you don't get to your Wrath of Gods and things like that. But, you know, we'll see how we get there. If you can lock down Solemnity 9 lives on turn 4, you're going to beat that Muxus deck, but it's all about finding that combo. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. I feel like I've rambled on with this deck long enough, and yeah, talked about all we can, really. If you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get on to the gameplay. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, we're in. Our mana base is hot garbage, but we're up against a Lurrus deck. If it's Boggles, this hand's actually pretty good. Oh, YOLO. Whatever. Let's do it. Let's do it. Stitcher's Supplier. Yeah, it's the worst matchup. Great. Uh-huh. So yeah, this hand will lose us the game on the spot. It will very likely do that anyway. So we're just going to go Enchantress's Presence and hope to draw lots of cards. We know that they've got Croxer to play around with as well, so... yeah, we'll have to see. 3 cards in the eye. It's going to be 4 with the Fabled Passage. We do have a decent defendable position here, between the card draw and the double Wrath, and the intervention as well to stop Croxer coming out if we draw a land off the top here. Oh. Oh. Okay, so... gotta name Croxer, I think. Blood Artist is another one that we really want to name. Blood Artist is very difficult to deal with. I think we'll start with Croxer, though, because it directly impacts our hand. And can quite potentially come out next turn, and we don't want that. Croxer, Titan of Death's Hunger. Alright, we have protection from that, and our opponent can't cast it. Let's see where we go from there. So this is where they Village Rites, yep. And that would be them casting Croxer right now, if we hadn't have named it. And Shock Me. Okay, we're down to 14. Taking 4 down to 10. And just going to go for Luros. If we drew an intervention, we could just name Luros, but it's not meant to be. Alright, so Crack Fable Passage. Grab a Plains. And we're going to go boop and boop. Wolfwiller Haven. Draw a card. Calyx. Now, how do we want to do this? They have Village Rites mana open, so anything I target's not really going to do anything. I don't really want to minus Calyx to get rid of the young Peasy either, for pretty much the same reason, and he also just dies to the token. I don't necessarily want to fire off a Wrath of God either. I kind of think that I maybe just, you know, delay tactic with a Faith's Fetters. Make them use the Village Rites if they've got it. 9 lives is a nice pickup. It's not a guaranteed win, but it's one way that we can really hamper their ability to kill us. They're going to need to go down like Blood Artist routes at that point. So the reason why I didn't go for a Wrath of God there is because I really wanted them to actually play Luros. And now I just get a better Wrath. Could be claim the Firstborn in order to haste up Luros. We don't have any creatures, so it's basically their only good use of it. Yep, down to 9. Okay, so free Wolfwiller Haven. Does the untapped land change much? 1, 2, 3... Not really. So we're just going to Wrath and tap land here. Don't want to have a too full of a board, just in case they do find the Blood Artist, and then our Wraths become actually the worst thing in the world. Thoughtseize, I hate you. I actually hate you. I guess it's not the easiest of picks for them, though. I'm going to go for Calyx. Do I love to see that? That's a good question. 9 lives into Solemnity could very much slow our opponent down. Archfiend's Vessel could be a 5/5 by the end of this turn. So let's go to 9 lives, because I think we're low enough now that we don't want to be taking this kind of combat damage. So we're just going to take counters on the 9 lives, and, you know, we should find a Solemnity in no time at all. Cling to Dust Calyx to draw a card. Okay. Perfectly fine. I think they're looking for good ways of pressuring us here. So we've got a free Wolfwiller Haven. Another Wrath of God, which I don't really care for playing here. I think I'll just pass. Get a counter on 9 lives. Sure, help yourself. And take 3. I believe they think this is a race, which it kind of is. Alright, Wolfwiller Haven essentially for free. There's a Cast Out, which, you know, draws us a card to put it into play, and also draws us a card if we cycle it, but we'll go for the actual use and get rid of the Vessel. Thank God we drew Scattered Groves. I was really starting to worry about our mana costs there. Thank God we drew the Plains. I guess they heard me. Alright, well. Pass the turn. Yeah, Scattered Groves is a very big pickup for this deck, because you would not believe how often I end up flooding with this deck. It's unbelievable. Alright, so we're going to name Blood Artist with Gideon's Intervention. It's one of the ways that they can use life loss to kill us, and we don't want that. We want to lock out anything that's non-damage based. We'll go for Mind Stone. We'll crack it, because we've got plenty of mana to spare. Another Gideon's Intervention. This name's Priest of the Forgotten Gods. So that's also life loss. We got the Wrath of God for, like, young pyromancers and things like that. So again, we're digging for Solemnity. We're naming everything that could kill us when we've got that combo down. They're gonna go for the draw. We drew Solemnity. Okay. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Just keep this land in hand, I guess. How many Thought Seizes have we seen? 1, 2... Only the 2? Alright, well... It's not a great chance of them finding it, but they could technically find it. Still got 2 copies left in the deck, and we've got 32 cards remaining. And, well... You are locked out of damage, opponent. You are locked out of life loss. Gideon's Intervention. We want to name Claim, I think, at this point. Claim is the one that reanimates things like Blood Artist. So let's name Claim. Play Solemnity. We're just digging for Sigil at this point. And we do not want to be playing that. Alright, pass the turn. Dragon Skull Summit. We should have them dead to rights. We can't take damage. The only way that they could beat us is by living long enough for us to deck ourselves, and them being on 4 just means... You know, well, they're dead. That's what that means, I guess. Okay. So yeah, those are, I would say, I've played this matchup a few times. This generally ends up being a bad matchup, hence why I kind of, you know, wrote it off in the first 2 turns. But this does end up being a general bad matchup. I would say that the names that I've gone for here are the only ones you should really care about. So Claim is the one that can kind of get them back Blood Artists and things like that, which they should have in this deck. We never actually saw them, thank God, but yeah, they can... I guess they can Dread Horde into, you know... They can find Thought Seizes and things like that, but it's really not going to win them the game necessarily. If they did manage to take the second Sigil out of our hand or whatever, we've got that Calyx that can also tick up. And I don't know if they can really deal with the Calyx once it resolves. Hence why I guess, you know, they dealt with it so soon. But yeah, it was a really, really fortunate ending for the game there. They got very aggressive with their Lockthwain. Don't know if they needed to, but I guess they knew that the lock was coming. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, next game. Okay, let's have a look-see. We've got Ashes of the Abhorrent and a turn 3 Enchantress's Presence. I think on the strength of this card we can keep this hand. It's not very Thoughtseize proof, but the matchups that use Thoughtseize are generally the ones where Ashes is actually a decent matchup. Say hello to our opponent. Hopefully that was a nice hello and not a I'm just checking if you've got your emotes on so I can spam you hello. You'd be surprised. Comes up a lot. Alright, so opponents lead off with the Croxer, which we can shut down with Ashes. I actually think we get rid of a land here and take some damage. Then again, no, we'll go with Mind Stone, because we're going to just go Ashes next turn anyway, so the ramp's not necessarily all that great. Alright, so whenever creatures die, we gain 1 life, and players can't cast spells from graveyards or activate abilities for cards in graveyards, so Crox is off. Blood Artist on its own is also not great for them here, and yeah, we're kind of in a Thoughtseize-proof-esque kind of situation now, where Enchantress's presence makes all top decks pretty good. Very slow hand for them here. Just going to go with another Croxer. Actually, I think I'd just dump a land and take 3. Because we're going to gain 1 anyway. Opponent just played 2-mana Shock. Ooh, that's a tough one. So, in general, I find that 2 presences ends up being too much. But we have got it very early on. And I imagine the earlier we get it, the better. Since next turn we can drop down Sigil. And we'll go with a Cast Out to hopefully increase the odds that we find that. We'll cycle Cast Out, try go for our 5th land. Eldest Reborn, okay. Very spicy list from our opponent. I've not seen this list and no longer know what to expect. Yeah, that's not good. Gideon's Intervention. So this is their way of reanimating Croxer. What else could they have in this list that I would want to name? I certainly do not want the 3rd presence. I'm going to consider that a dead card. I mean, I guess you just... Do you just name Eldest Reborn again? Because, like... You know, you don't want another one going up against you. And I've got Wrath of God for the Croxer. That feels so bad. But I don't know what else to name, to be honest. I think I'm just going to go for Eldest Reborn. It does not stop any of this. But I think we also don't care. Just going to go drop the Enchantress's presence. I was thinking 6-mana Lily. That's also pretty bad, though. Alright, Mind Stone down. If we get Sigil, I've got to imagine... Oh, come on, please. Please? I was going to say, if we got Sigil down, I can't imagine a world where we lose. Again, Gideon naming Lily here is a little bit too late. So they're kind of like Jund control. I guess I have to name like Ugin the Spirit Dragon. That's got to be a one-of in the deck maybe, right? I honestly don't know at this point. It's a mystery. Alright, so here comes Croxer, who will not die. We will discard the Mind Stone. Oh, sorry, no, he will die, because he did not escape. That's right. But Liliana will make us discard Gift of Paradise. Yup. It is each player, and every single one of our cards draws us 2. So, in theory, our opponent's in a lot of trouble. Sigil, draw 2. I actually think Lily is more of a hindrance than a help against us right now, and there's Faith Fetters for Lily anyway, so... What's the ult on this thing? Get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield. You are lucky. However, you know, I've kind of got a I can't lose to combat damage combo here, so do you want to keep your Lily going, or would you like to never deal combat damage ever again? Again, this right here would, you know, get by 9 lives combo, but we're at 19, and we're about to establish it, so, you know, doesn't really matter. I don't think their ult makes a difference either, and so does Wrath of God. That can go in the trash. There's another Solemnity. Okay, so we're going to play Solemnity. We're going to draw 2. Getting around Lily here, we're also going to make our land drop, which allows us to drop down 9 lives so that we cannot lose via combat damage. It's only life loss at this point. And yeah, we got 8 power on the board, ready to close this game out over 3 turns, probably. Realistically, probably 3 turns. The minus on this is removal, so, you know, you could go for that. So this was end step, right? Beginning of combat. Okay. So during combat, they can bring a Croxer back, which makes us discard. And then it dies. So on and so forth. We got plenty of fodder. We're not going to be wrathing either. Okay, we gain some life. Lily brings back Croxer. Croxer dies. We'll get rid of Wrath of God. Gain some life. Probably just kill Lily now, because, you know, why the hell not? Let's see. I mean, what really loses us the game here? Realistically, we've named the Eldest Reborn, which we don't have to care about anymore. We've named Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Lily does not lose us the game. I guess we'd name Assassin's Trophy, because reasons. We got the Spare Solemnity anyway, so... And we got double Spare Solemnity. I'll just name Assassin's Trophy and see if it works out. I guess you could name Languish so that we can close this game out quicker, but that's kind of a win more kind of pick. I'd rather every single intervention pick something that might cause me to lose the game rather than, you know, picking to win. I don't even know how Assassin's Trophy could honestly cause us to lose this game. They could go after Sigil maybe and survive long enough to Languish, and then I have to wait until my Sigil comes around, and if it's my bottom cards, then, you know, I deck myself. Something like that. Big long line of hypotheticals there. That's the way you gotta play, though. And it is situations like this where you do very much appreciate not having 3 Enchantress's presences in your deck. Oh, and on the battlefield, sorry. Another 9 lives. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. If one goes, we lose, so... Let's just... play Wolf Willowhaven. Might as well swing first. Yep. Gain 1. And yeah, we're in a very good spot. I'm gonna make 1 more Angel. And leave it at that. We know that they do have Legion's End. That's a top deck for them. For sure. But it's just kind of a delay the inevitable kind of top deck. It's not actually going to win them the game. There's a Questing Beast. Bring back a Croxer, who is dead. You can have my Sun Pelgrove, and I'll take some damage, and then I'll gain some life. So they're coming at me. You can go wherever they want. I've got lethal.
Think of the damage I accept my fate.
Alright. And swing for the win. Sweet. Weird deck from our opponent. Jund control. I guess they were just kind of going for traditional Jund in Historic, and it's a thought I've had, to be honest, personally. Seeing what you could do with a deck like this. I'm not sure if I'd go the Eldest Reborn route, but... Croxers, Lilianas, Thoughtseize, Bedevils. All looks like the Jund that I would expect from Historic kind of control in those colours. But yeah, we managed to stop them from playing their deck, I guess. Anyway, let's go for another game. Okay, then, we're in. This hand's kinda garbage. Kinda garbage. Now, if we were to find 9 lives and that be relevant, then this hand is kinda good. But, don't know if we can do that. I think I've got to mull this hand. You kinda want something to... that's much better. Where's my train of thought? It's gone. I'm gonna put Wolf Willow to the bottom. You want to have some kind of, like, future-proofing to your hand. This doesn't particularly have it, but... Wrath of Gods, we got the 9 lives. I don't really want to go down to 5. There's a long list of reasons why I kept this hand. Flourishing Fox. Alright, our opponent is playing Cycling. So 9 life Solemnity combo is actually good to go, I think. Yeah, it is, because the Stranith Stinger is not a card that deals life loss. Zenith Flare is obviously damage as well. I think this is like a blue-white cycling list with Drakehaven, which is even better for us, actually, in theory. Now, I don't know what they'll actually be doing, per se. I'm just gonna lock this down. In terms of, like, counter magic and what kind of control they have going for them. Well, they have neutralize, you know, makes sense. Certainly makes sense. Maybe for that reason I should have gone with the Banishing Light first, I don't know. Don't banish it either way. We have this 9 lives that I really want to resolve. Playing around Censor as well is a good idea. Censor is a 2-mana counter unless you pay 1 with cycling for 1 blue. So it's definitely in their deck in some form or another. It's just a Mind Stone. We're probably just going to crack that. I guess we don't do it now, though, because really nothing other than... Yeah, I guess Wolf Willow or another Mind Stone is something I'd rather play. Any of our 2 drops I'll play. If it's anything higher, I won't bother. Yeah, Intervention. Not interested. So we could name Drakehaven with Intervention, or we could name Zenith Flare. That's definitely why they've got red here. And yep, played around Censor just perfectly there. Yeah, double Censor, wow. Okay. It's entirely possible that they're playing New Horizons as well. Or New Perspectives. I think that's what it's called. Get those 2 cards mixed up quite a fair bit. Yeah, I think we name Zenith Flare with Gideon's Intervention. Now we've played around Censor, we only have to have Neutralize to worry about. Secluded Step, okay. And I think you name Zenith Flare over Flourishing Fox, mostly because we've got Wrath of God and 9 lives combo gets around that as well. Zenith Flare is just likely to just ping me out of nowhere and win the game. Then again, if they're cycling to something like Thassa's Oracle, it's probably unlikely. Yeah, we'll just name Zenith Flare and then take a little bit of damage here. I think we can afford to wait on the 9 lives. We definitely don't want to get it down too early, just in case we never find our Solemnity. There's Enchantress's presence, so we want to see this get resolved. This would be a great neutralize for them if they have it, yeah. Would that mean that this is a great Wrath of God for us? Fox is about the only creature we've seen so far, but it definitely isn't. They've got Drakehaven, no doubt. Do I want to go down to 10? It's probably not even that. It's down to 7. I don't think I do. Alright, so we've seen them cycle several Censors. We've seen them just pass the turn, which is also great. Let's see. 1, 2 neutralizes, 3 Censors. Four Censors, alright. We never have to play around Censor again, but, you know, we're going to be playing around counters, so... Ooh, Cast Out. We've got Zenith Flare on the... Ah, dang it. Now this is where we really wish we had 9 lives in play, because Zenith Flare only deals 1 damage, effectively. We'll try and get it down, but if they've got another Neutralize, we're in trouble. Do they... Oh, they've got 13 cards, and they've all got Cycling. Yeah, great. Alright. Yeah, I guess I should have played my 9 lives. I didn't think I would be dying that quickly, to be honest, but here we are. Never played against this deck, so it's one of those. It's a learning lesson that I will not make the same mistake. We named the right card. We just, you know, didn't expect Cast Out, I guess. And should have played this down. Eh, well. Okay, we're in. This hand looks great. It honestly looks fantastic. So we can go for a turn 3 Calyx here. Looking for Solemnity. Hopefully that's actually going to be a decent enough answer to what our opponent's doing. And Venerable Knight is a good chance that that's going to be the case. So if you're actually presented with a situation here where you have Mind Stone or Wolfwillow Haven, I think for near obvious reasons, always lead off with the Mind Stone unless you need the actual green mana, which we do not. So we're going to lead with the Mind Stone. Reason being, if you draw Enchantress's Presence or Sigil of the Empty Throne, you're going to be much happier to have a Wolfwillow in hand than you are a Mind Stone. Our opponent is popping off. And that Gideon's Intervention, I don't think he's going to name anything that can really help us out here. This would be a situation, actually, where you would go Wolfwillow, funnily enough, because now I don't have the access to this -3 here, which could be a problem. I guess we can name Venerable Knight with the Intervention. There it is. So that won't deal any damage, and it won't get any pumps that matter from History of Benalia, but still pretty bad. We're looking for Wrath of God at this point, I guess. But if we can go down low enough, we can just play 9 lives, because, you know, our life total ends up being irrelevant at that point. And it's basically everything they play is a 1/1. Why are you not getting in with... Oh, Loxodon? Yeah, it's got to be Loxodon. I'm going to say, why are you not getting in with your Vampire token? Yes, that'll do it. Okay. Oh. You have lost, my friend. So we go... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no way they can make 9 tokens here, so the only way we could lose is by the game screwing us over. There goes 9 lives. Yep. So we get a ton of counters on 9 lives, but it's not 9, so we're fine. They need Pact of Negation. Otherwise, this will not be suitable. I guess they could have Disenchants. That is true. Disenchants would work. Do they run them, though? That's the question. And it would only be a matter of time until we find another Solemnity. That would be the ideal situation. Or even a Wrath of God, just to ensure that we have that security of a little bit of 9 lives left over. Game is definitely not guaranteed to be over, but it's pretty damn close. Yes, they could have Conclave Tribunals. That will be our name with the next Gideon Intervention. I think that's most likely the card that they have here, considering they have Convoke with the Loxodon. Their thinking might be, let's look at other Convoke cards, maybe. Don't know what they're tanking on here. Maybe on whether or not they stand a chance of winning. They're looking at the website they pulled their deck from, just to check if it has the cards. Maybe? Or is this... Oh, no, they're here. Okay. They changed the color of their thing. Could you... It makes cat noises, but can you call it a cat? It doesn't interact with me, which is very cat-like. Let's see. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Gift of Paradise. Onto here. Probably don't even need to waste my time doing this, to be honest. We either die to Tribunal or we don't. I'll keep the Wolfwillow Haven for that kind of thing if we want to find Enchantress' Presence or Sigil to close the game out. Kind of just figured we'd be able to do more on our next turn once we've locked down. We want to be digging towards the next intervention for sure. Opponent, can you hear me? It's my turn, not yours. You just had your turn. Share like a good adult. I know you're here, friendusa, and I know you're losing. But that's no reason to be the way that you are. You can still change. You can still be the better person. I'm guessing that they don't like cats. But then again, why have they got this monstrosity over here? This abomination. I don't know. I really don't know. Alright. They don't even know that I got this combo for a start. They're just kind of assuming, I guess, if they are being salty. Could be connection issues. I'm gonna, you know what? Benefit of the doubt. It's connection issues. Our opponent is struggling. So if they do end up getting control of their, you know, motor functions, then, you know, they could win here. We do have access to Calyx Tick-Up with 3-drop potential, so we could find our other Solemnity just to really lock this game down. But friendusa has decided that they've roped me enough and have better things to do. Fair enough. Alright, well, that is going to do it for today's video. This deck is a lot of fun to play. It's not too easy to pilot. And then again, it's also not too difficult, I guess. On the same, you know, in the same thinking. You kind of get the idea. You just kind of have to name the right things. So if you know the format well enough, this deck is kind of a lot of fun. Just make sure not to drop the sigil. I'm quite proud of that name. It's naughty. But yeah, kind of happy with this one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you believe that Banishing Light or Cast Out is better? And why? I would honestly... I'm more interested in the whys rather than the I think one's better than the other. Because I'm kind of curious. Because I feel like it has to be one or the other, but I could never really decide which one it had to be. I like the cycling early on, but, you know, early game mana's not really something we struggle with. So maybe Banishing Light's better. But then maybe the Flash is better. But maybe being 3's better. I don't know. You decide. Let me know down in the comment section below anyway, and if you have enjoyed the video, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well. It helps out the channel a great deal and lets me know what kind of content you're interested in seeing. If you want to see more prison decks, let me know, because I take great pleasure in prisoning our opponents and stopping them from being able to play the game outside of counterspells. Although we haven't played counterspells in a while, so maybe we'll have to do a proper hardcore control deck. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that jazz, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.